are formed from your experiences.
Yeah.
The experiences only occur when you take action. And the actions you undertake are dependent upon how confident you are, right? So beliefs lead to sort of a level of expectation. Well, I believe that, for example, in the world of sales, I believe that cold calling is a waste of time. It encroaches on people's time and we don't get a lot of business out of it. Therefore, that's my expectation. Therefore, I'm not confident. Right. I'm not going to take action. Therefore, I get no results, and it reinforces the belief. So I agree wholeheartedly with you about the taking small steps.
Yeah.
So to Ron's point, and it's a very valid point, first and foremost is that people, to form those beliefs, is understand what their beliefs are today. So in what context? Is it life or is it work? And then from there, those beliefs should be aligned to things that you are passionate about. So start with, what do I like doing, right? How can I do more of that? Yeah. And, to Ron's point, some people have completely compromised their life, or they're at a point in their life where they're more about finding security and living that security rather than pursuing those passions. So they'll never be able to train those beliefs if they don't take small actions.
Beautiful.
How are we going with our...
We've got some technical difficulties. I think I have it back up and going again, but it cut off. That's the second time. So.
Well, looks good to me. Keep talking. That's dead air. So people on the radio need to hear this.
Yeah, that's right.
Testing 1, 2, 3. We're having a few technical difficulties on the Facebook Live side. So, Joe, incredibly well said. And so many people, and Ken alluded to this, but they get to the point life gets in the way. They get a job. They need to make money. Well, that job takes 12, 14 hours a day, between driving time and actual working time. And then they're so tired by the time they get home. How does someone restart and get back on the road to finding their passion and then pursuing it?
We all talk about, I love the fact that you guys reboot as an acronym. So in finding your passion, usually, again, passion is born from confidence in things that you're good at. So for example, for myself, at a young age, I discovered film and movies, and that's one of my life's passions is film. Now, at an early age, I thought, great, I'm going to be a movie director, a film producer one day. Now, that's quite a large goal and it's quite a large target. But, to what we're all saying here collectively, life gets in the way. I end up going to college. I end up getting a degree in business and finance. But along the way, I made sure that I continue to chase something that I love, something that excites me, something that makes me happy. And so I make films today. Now, my family are all cast as characters, and we make a film every single year.
Right.
And, we all have those home movies at home, or the local barbecue, or a birthday party, or we go to Disney World. Well, my kids every year watch our major Micallef productions, and we've been doing it for over 12 years now, since Ali was 5.
That's awesome.
And even they're at an age now where my oldest is 15, and she's like, I used to question, girls, you still want to do this? I said, absolutely, Dad. So I was able to find this passion for film and direction by doing something small,
That's awesome.
That could complement my life. So whether you're a runner, whatever it may be. So the aim, though, is for people to find that passion. Is like, what makes me happy?
I love it.
And last thing I'll say quickly is a lot of people talk about, what makes you happy? Oh, my family. What are you passionate about? My family. And the advice I always say to, because I used to work with salespeople to, get them motivated. And so what motivates you? My family. I said, okay, but there has to be something that you talk about with your family, do with your family, experience with your family that you're passionate about, right? That can create that great family life. So I always say to them, of course we're all passionate about our family, but make sure you've got something that you do that you love.
Yeah.
That you can then bring your family into, that enables you to keep doing it. That's how it reinforces.
And folks, it's you are listening to 101.3 FM WHIWLP out of Harvard, Illinois, and you've got Two Bald Guys and a Microphone, brought to you for the financial support of NIW Services. Northern Illinois Windows is your window cleaning people, and we can't thank them enough for their support. You can find them at niwservice.com or give them a call at 815-385-6646. That's NIW Services. Thank you for the financial support out there, Bill. We love you, and he's a great guy and helping out WHIW as well.
So we are back up and running on Facebook. So if you've switched over to TuneIn or the actual radio, You can go back to Two Bald Guys at
And it may be our Wi-Fi might be a little bumpy. Hard saying. I don't know.
It was a long weekend.
Yeah.
In Harvard.
There's a lot of stuff going on in Harvard, for sure. We're talking about passion. And folks, I'm going to tell you what, we've got Joe Micallef in here from Grow Up Sales. And if they want to find out more about you and what you do, how can they find you?
Yeah, go to the website, growupsales.com. It's quite comprehensive. It highlights all my services, but also gives them some advice and tips on things that they can apply immediately.
It's awesome. And folks, it's got a good business. He does great work with businesses and salespeople. But what you're learning, and you're going to learn from him today, is life. It's life changing. Okay, so you can take the same ideas and concepts and twist them into your life, whatever it is that you do. But I'm going to tell you this: you're going to want to stick around in the 7 o'clock hour, Coach. You're going to want to stick around because I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to challenge you guys a little bit, and we're going to play good cop, bad cop in the 7 o'clock hour because we're talking about finding and living your passion. But like I said, a lot of people have had it stolen. And what we're going to do in the 7 o'clock hours, we're going to talk about how do you do that? How do you live your passion when your partner, right, your life partner, your spouse, isn't behind you 100%? And that's coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. I think that's going to be good. And of course, we got Rancher Ron. Ron, I know you did not plan that, but if they need to get a hold of you, where can they find you at, my friend?
Oh, that would be at thegreaterjourney.com or ididnotplanthat.com.
I did not plan that.
And Coach, if they want to get a hold of Two Bald Guys and a Microphone, how do they do that?
They just go to twobaldguysandamicrophone.com, all spelled out, TWO, except for the dot. The dot is that little period looking thing that goes right before the com. But all the other is letters to baldguysandamicrophone.com. From there, you can go to our YouTube page, our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, and all the pages that we need a 12-year-old to teach us how to use. We have Pinterest, we have Snapchat, we have Instagram, and we have not been effective with them yet. So we need to, if you've got a 12-year-old who's done with school and they want a internship for the summer on teaching us.
Start building that resume now.
That's right.
And, success is doing what you love and making a career of it. But I don't know who's going to pay me to drink beer and look at Facebook.
A marketing research company.
That's right. All right, so we're talking about passion. We're talking about finding your passion, living your passion. We're right in the middle of Reboot. We just talked about belief, and now we're talking about the operating system.
The operating system.
And the operating system is our brain, right? The operating system is our core beliefs and what we do. I'm going to use LeBron James lives his passion. He is an incredible athlete, right? He also is now a executive producer for the show The Wall. So this guy is multi-talented, right? He's 32 years old, and he's used his passion to develop vehicles, right? In other words, operating system, where so many of the professional athletes have gone broke because they didn't understand how to use their passion and create a revenue stream. And he's doing that. And so many people hate him now, right? Because this is the 7th year in a row that he's in the finals. 7th. That's amazing.
Brilliant.
And living.
And the haters are happy because he's lost the first 2 games so far.
Yeah, they were down 3 games and then last year too. Whatever. The guy is an amazing talent. But there's so many people that hate him out there. And my thought is, as I look at him prepare for this show, is his operating system, his belief. I mean, his self-talk has to be just incredible. And how do you, with so much negative in the world, so much influx of negative, most people's passion is to do something great. How do you retrain that brain, or how is it that you get that belief or use that operating system to go from the negative beat up to let me chase this passion?
And one of the things I coach people on is how to overcome limiting beliefs. So I call it limiting beliefs as opposed to negative beliefs. Even when we had the 3-hour strategy session, I can tell you now, there's people in that room who will say, well, that's not going to work. We're wasting our time on that. Why are we targeting that industry? We should be, banking all businesses or whatever it may be. And so I have a separate chart on the side that I call limiting beliefs, and I scribble it up on there. And we come back to that. We continue the conversation. So we say, okay, let's park that for a second. And that's what someone like LeBron James has to do. Like, people can throw negative stuff at him. In Australia, there's this saying called the tall poppy syndrome. And so in Australia, we don't necessarily rejoice and praise people's successes. We're like, oh my God, I've always said to people, Oprah Winfrey would have failed in Australia. She walks on stage and everyone stands up and cheers her and she's powerful. In Australia, they're like, oh, get over yourself, right? Yeah. So they call it this tall poppy syndrome. You're the tall poppy, people cut you down. And so what you need to do is continue to overcome your limiting beliefs. And the way you do that is you look for positive affirmations. Mm-hmm. So as a child, if we saw that big glowing box and walked up to it and touched it and burnt our fingers realizing it's an oven, and never went back again, we would never cook for the rest of our life. Sure. Think about it. You would never. As a child, you think, oh, if I ever go near that, I'm going to burn myself, so I'm never going to go near it again. But you learn from it. And you think, well, hang on a minute, that big glowing box produces delicious food, stuff that I'm going to love, nutrients, all that type of stuff. So therefore, you put a positive affirmation on those things. But it takes a bit of a mindset to do that. But it's acknowledging the limiting belief, parking it aside and coming back to it. And one of the great ways too, you talk about journals, is sometimes I also journal some limiting beliefs I might have during the day. And I discuss them with my wife, or I discuss them with a mentor or a colleague, usually a mentor or a colleague. And we put a positive affirmation on those. Just because that session didn't do too well doesn't mean every session is not going to go so well.
Correct.
So always challenging your limiting beliefs, acknowledge them, and then look for positive affirmations on those to ensure that you maintain that positivity and continue to pursue your passion. Yeah,
and then on the backside of the other O is orchestrate, right?
Right. As a conductor of the orchestra, you've got your back turned to the audience. You've got your team in front of you. The percussions, the strings, the brass, the woodwinds, you've got them all. And with one hand, you're keeping timing, and with the other hand, you're telling who to come in where and whether they're loud or whether they're soft. Well, as the conductor of your team, you've identified those people that you're going to have help you move forward on your passion. Mm-hmm. One of them has got to be a coach, right? We all need, sometimes when we move into business for ourselves, we become an entrepreneur, we all of a sudden think we're at the top of the food chain, we're all by ourselves, and we have to do this. But there is not a greatly successful person out there who doesn't have a coach in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. I arrived in Chicago last year. What a great year to arrive in Chicago. The Cubs win the World Series, assuming there's a lot of Cubs fans out there. Hey, and it was just an incredible year. And so I do a presentation where I put up the pictures of the Cubs and the newspaper article that said "at last," and it's fantastic. And I say to the audience, could they have won the World Series without Joe Madden? Could they have won the World? And to a person, it's like, of course they couldn't. You got $20 million batters out there, right? It's like, well, hang on, this guy's getting paid $20 million a year. He's a superstar, he's a rock star. Why does he need Joe Madden, right? So you need a coach to help you strategize, to help you finesse, and to look at your gameplay and correct it along the way. And I say that to businesses as well.
But I also want to point out, though, that a lot of times you got to make sure that your mentor, that your coach, has a little skin in the game, and you don't want to become that person. I've seen a lot of people with a mentor, especially in business, hey, this guy's become a millionaire. This is what he did to become a millionaire. That's what I got. No.
Correct.
No. That's him.
Correct.
And he followed his passion, right? And his work ethic, his passion, his dream is a lot different than most of yours probably. But take the lessons that he learned, but don't try to become that.
There's one more story. You were talking about LeBron James.
Yeah.
There's a great story about Kobe Bryant. And again, same kind of guy. Love him, hate him, whatever. Extremely successful guy. Yeah. But if you heard the story, he's also a producer as well.
Yeah.
And he produced a short film. And I don't know if you heard the story. I read it recently, where he went and saw John Williams, the conductor, coincidentally, speaking about orchestrate. And he met with John Williams and spent hours and hours with John Williams, the famous, one of the world's most famous composers. Steven Spielberg loves him, all that type of thing. And he said, I learned from him. I wanted to learn how he conducted an audience, how he an orchestra, how he composed. And I spent hours. And he goes, it had nothing to do with basketball, but it taught me new skills. It taught me a new way of operating.
Yeah.
It taught me how to bring people in. I mean, John Williams is the most quietly spoken conductor of any orchestra you'll ever hear. I mean, he's almost 90 years old and still working, God bless him. And Kobe Bryant said, I learned a lot from him. And he does that often. He's got other mentors that have nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when Phil Jackson first came to the Bulls, and the first time he brought all the Bulls together, and he said, all right, guys, make a circle. These are professional athletes. I want you to stand in a circle, good. I want you to sit down, nice. Right now, I want you to just close your eyes and breathe. And what they found out was within 2 minutes, when you're sitting in a circle close like that, your breathing patterns all begin to match. Your rhythms all come in line with each other. And, these are $1 million, call them what you want, athletes.
Yeah.
Who really, you're going to have me sit in a circle like a kindergartner and do this? But out of that came 6 championships.
Yeah.
And a lot of belief in his system, his coach, and he was like, I don't care how much they're paying you, and I don't care how much they're paying me. I have the title coach, you have the title athlete. I say when you play, I say when you don't. And having that relationship to a coach, I've had several of my clients who will sit down and we'll go through, these are the things you need to do. And the next week when we sit down, did you do these things? They're like, well, no. I got busy. Well, are you going to do them this week? Yeah, I'll do them this week. And after a few weeks of going through the same thing, I'll, basically fire them. Okay, we're done. You're wasting my time. You're wasting your time and money paying me to coach you if you're not going to be coachable.
Yeah. Spot on.
And test.
Testing, is this thing on? Testing.
Always test to make sure that what the direction you're going is working. And engineers will always call it PDCA, right? Plan, do, check, adjust. Plan, do, check, adjust. Plan, do, check, adjust. Right? We call it test. You always have to make sure that the direction you're going and the things that you're doing are getting you to live that passion. It's the little steps that you were talking about a little bit earlier, Joe, I think. Right?
Yeah, and again in business with sales teams, I call it your sales plan. And PLAN, we all love our acronyms. It's performance, learnings, activity, numbers. So I say to sales leaders, you don't need to micromanage your team. You have team meetings, that's great, and you should do those weekly or bi-weekly, but definitely once a month, meet with your individual salespeople, or your staff members, and review their plan. And the plan's aligned to the strategy. How was your performance last month? What were your learnings? PL. What activities did you do? And what activities are we going to do? What activities did we discuss last month that you were going to do that you're not doing? And we agreed, not just discussed, but agreed we were going to do. And the last thing is the end. Well, to achieve those numbers, we've got to review the performance, learnings, and activities and make sure so are they achievable? And so it comes back exactly what you were saying, Coach Papa, that if they're not undertaking the actions that we're coaching them on, then we're wasting everybody's time. I'm in the exact same camp as you.
Well, and you have your P8s and your NPAs, your profit activities and your nonprofit activities.
Of course.
And the nonprofit activities sometimes they're easier. They're inside our comfort zone, readjusting the desk, going and I'm out of paper clips, or maybe I want staples.
Let me go get another cup of
I need
coffee.
a new staple. I need that 3-hole punch, right? And we're out here doing the nonprofit activities during the peak profit hours. And then all of a sudden it's 7 o'clock at night and I got to make those. Oh, it's too late.
Correct.
I'll make those phone calls tomorrow. And you get up tomorrow and you rearrange the desk and you go buy some more paper clips. And I got thousands of paper clips, and so it's just it continues to go on. So when
And now it is time for Rancher Ron and his East Texas wisdom. Green
Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me.
He's in.
Good morning. Rancher Ron feeding East Texas wisdom to a hungry herd of Americans. Chuck Roy's an electrical engineer. He designs complex systems for deep space probes, control systems for managing buildings, and oil field production plants. In this role, Chuck is important. He travels the world applying his wisdom and electrical training, building things, big things. The hustle and bustle of life, though, takes its toll. The demands of his job and the culture of District of Columbia where he lives is wearing on his family.
I moved off the button and it went off.
Chuck and his wife Nancy transplant from Washington, D.C. to the town of Yantis in Wood County, Texas about 7 years ago. Yantis enjoys nearly 100% growth rate when compared to the 2000 census. The town has exploded from just over 200 people to 392 people. If you're a single male, it's a place to move, as there are 8 more women than men in this community. Yantis is surrounded by other areas of Wood County that create a service area of nearly 65,000 people. A major attraction is Lake Fork, which has some of the best bass fishing in the United States. All the communities in Wood County swell on the weekends, and during major fishing competitions are overrun with people. Chuck's passions are many and include the love of fishing. As Chuck settles into the rural life in his new community, he's enjoying the bounty of the lake. He begins meeting the residents of the area at the local coffee shop and by attending Chamber of Commerce meetings, activities he never made time for in his life. As time goes by, Chuck is asked to share some of the stories he has written in a book in the local paper. The more he writes, the more he eats at the diner, and the more meetings he attends, Chuck and Nancy create a foothold in the community. As fate would have it, the local paper fell on hard times and closed. Chuck was encouraged to take the format and get a monthly community paper started. As they say, the rest is history. The paper's sales and popularity exploded as Chuck enlisted over 40 members of the community to begin submitting articles about local events and life's lessons. Chuck then began interviewing city officials, fire chiefs, school board members, and anyone else of interest. He then began getting requests to speak, judge contests, cook for charity functions, and be a major contributor to the community. Chuck learned a new passion, people. He loves to speak with them, serve them, comfort them when needed, laugh with them, and more importantly, dream with them. Just outside town where Nancy and Chuck enjoy a rural home, they've added goats and chickens and dogs to create a lifestyle for the grandchildren and the kids of the area. Nancy's become involved with a number of local organizations and sits on a few boards. Chuck and Nancy have found a new purpose and passion in their community, and they're creating a significant impact on bettering the quality of life of people in their neighborhood. Recently, when speaking with Chuck, he said, "I wish I had matured earlier in life to understand that the real satisfaction is in creating something that is greater than myself." Now he focuses on friends, family, neighbors, and community with a newfound passion that excites him every day. Chuck is fun to be around. People with a passion that is not self-centered are great energizers for others. Things happen when people with passion get involved. When you match a purpose with a passion and look at the productivity that comes out of that, it is amazing how significant people can be doing what they love. One of the best attitudes people can develop that have not yet found their passion is to keep trying new things until your passion finds you. How many of us know people who did nothing new because they were praying that God would show them the way? Well, we're all born with desires that guide us to the areas we excel at our best. There are areas where we feel the most successful and the most fulfilled at the same time. Let me give you an example. I love to fly. I'm a pilot. You know how you can tell when a person is a pilot when they enter the room? They tell you. I'm a good pilot. You know how you can tell if they're a good pilot? they're able to enter the room unassisted. My passion for aviation came quite by accident when a sailing trip to Catalina was canceled. 4 of us who rented a boat then climbed into a small airplane for the weekend, and I was hooked. The only thing better in life than flying is sharing that passion with others. I found that one of my purposes in life is to use aviation to meet people where they are and spend time with them to know them better. Through these conversations, we both become better people. Chuck Roy understands this principle and lives it on a daily basis in his neighborhood. He is building something far greater than the big projects he spent most of his life engineering. He's building people, a community, a sense of belonging and sharing. He has made the transformation from being successful to being significant. By changing the lives of people he runs into, he's changing the lives of all the future generations of those families. Take time to look into what activities in your life make you feel successful and rewarded at the same time. Then explore these to see if this is where your passion resides. In my book, Chuck and Nancy embrace the passion this country was founded upon, and they act upon the passions in the same manner as our forefathers, who we call true American heroes. This is Rancher Ron feeding East Texas wisdom to a hungry herd of Americans.
Whew. Yeah, Ron, always. You brought to mind one of my favorite stories. Two gentlemen, Jim and Dave, were up pounding spikes in railroad tracks. Dave had been with the railroad a very long time. A big fancy car pulled up on a side track and parked, and Jim said to Dave, "Isn't that the president's car?" And he goes, "Yeah, it looks like it. That's a big fancy car." About that time, the president stepped out on his little balcony, and he goes, "Dave, is that you?" And he goes, "Hey, George." He goes, "Come on in for a second." And Jim looks at Dave and goes, "What's going on here?" He goes on. He's in the rail car for about an hour, and then he comes back out and starts driving spikes. And Jim looks at Dave and says, "What was that?" He goes, "Well, George and I actually started working for the railroad on the same day. We met in orientation. We became friends right away, and we've maintained our friendship over the years." He goes, "Then why are you still out here driving spikes and he's in the big car?" He says, "Well, on that day, I went to work for $3.25 an hour. He went to work for the railroad."
Ooh.
And it just talks about where's your passion and where does it lie. I'm guessing Dave's passion was in fishing. George's passion was in the railroad.
Right?
So Dave is still a trainee.
Wah, wah.
There it is.
There it is. Ron, just great stuff as always. And I know, and I want everybody out there listening, I want everybody to know this guy is in San Antonio because he's going to be a keynote speaker for a betting, right? Not betting like bed,
Actually,
like your bed.
National Home Furnishings Association.
There it is, National Home Furnishings, the NHFA, right?
Yep.
That's it. And he is remote in San Antonio, so to be able to do what you do at the level you do it, Ron, very, very impressive, and we thank you for that. Great stuff as always. Just top shelf right there. Good stuff. And we're talking about passion. That thing that you do after your day job, in your free time, too early in the morning, too late at night. That thing you read about, write about, think about, in fact, fantasize about. That thing you do when you're all alone and there's no one to impress, nothing to prove, no money to be made, simply a passion to pursue. That's it. That's your thing. That's your heart, your guide. That's the thing you must do. Author unknown. I'm going to tell you a couple things.
Oh, I wrote that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Author unknown has done a lot of good work. But that is, I saw that as we were prepping for the show. It's such a great saying, just because we're talking about passion and finding that passion. Here's what I'd like to do for everybody that's out there in Facebook land or listening. Send Coach. Coach is manning the Facebook page. Send him what your passion is, or the thing that you do to continually live your passion, or ask a question to Coach and Joe, anybody, on how you can find your passion.